Hey everybody, welcome to Kingdom Justice, and this is your host Courtney Jones speaking, and we're back with Parasite 6. So we've been on the spirit of parasite for a while. We've been on the spirit here for a while, and we've been talking about different ways how the spirit affects people. This parasite spirit affects people. We've been talking about how it's been affecting people in so many different ways, and how it keeps people in places, where it keeps people in places where you know they don't see God. They don't see the way Jesus see him. Like we went through the teaching of Mephibosheth, went through him to see how he was crippled and lame, and how he never seen himself being sitting at the table with David. Even though David let him sit at the table, he never seen himself as royalty. He never seen himself as royalty. He still seen himself as being the way he grew up. He grew up in a place called Lodabar, which means no pasture. That means you're a sheep. You couldn't eat. That means that you're starving. You're barely making it. He still seen himself being that low person. He's seen himself being that low person. We see a lot of this stuff happen in poverty situations. It doesn't matter what race people are in. People that's in poverty, it don't make no difference where you're from. We see a lot of time when Jesus come to people and people get born again. A lot of these people are happy to be saved. I'm so happy to be saved, but they understand. They don't understand. They got a seat at the table. They have a seat at the table, and a lot of times people don't get that. They don't get the fact of the matter that what I have been given this. Not just He gave me salvation, but I have an inheritance that come along with this. I have the way God look at me is the same way He look at Jesus. You see that the miracle signs, the eyes of the blind, the lame, the sick should be healed in His name through me. See, through me, if I believe. I ain't got to go get someone belief from it, but if I believe, you see, if I believe in our Lord Jesus, if I believe in that name and that name above every name, and I know that He says that I will do the same works He did and greater, as mean even more things. And it's more things. I mean, you're going to go out and do more things and more work. And He wants you to. See, there's no arrogance in Jesus. You see, He wants you to go out and do bigger miracles that people never heard of, that He's going to perform these through you. He wants you. It doesn't matter who you are, male or female. Humble vessels. Humble vessels. You see, and this thing got twisted and turned so many different ways. This thing got twisted and turned so many different ways. And, people just didn't stop caring. It's sad. It's heartbreaking to me when you see these people with parasite spirits. It's heartbreaking. It's sad. You see them there. Even when they try, it's like there's a spark left in them. They try the wrong way. The same recipe that failed, they're still trying to use the same thing. It's heartbreaking to you. You see these people sitting in church for 10 years, 20 years, 18, 30, 40 years, and they still talking about the same thing over and over. They still talking about, God wanted me to do this, and for instance, God want me to go minister to people over here in this country. It's like, well, you're still talking about the same thing 30 years now, and you still haven't done it. Parasite spirit. Why you did? I let people hold me back. I let things hold me back. You see, I just didn't have the funds. You just didn't have the faith. And that's what's wrong with the church nowadays. We got a bunch of people who talking about faith, but we ain't got a lot of doers. We got a bunch of people telling you, about these things. We tell people about being an ambassadorship, how you supposed to be an ambassador to build embassies in your community, your neighborhoods. You're supposed to set the tone. You're supposed to have spiritual authority to get those demons out the place. God is going to work through you. He's going to tell you your counsel, what you need to do, what you need to speak. He's going to tell you all these things if you sit there and listen to Him. If you listen to God, He will listen to you. You have to understand this. If you listen to God, a lot of people are always crying to God about problems. But see, the problem is if you listen and are attentive to God, see what God needs, see what God wants from you. Sometimes we so busy want what we want. It's listen. Find out what He wants from you, and where you lacking in. A lot of times we want a problem gone, and we don't understand what we're doing is causing the same problem. So sometimes we need to go be attentive, listen to God, and He'll listen to you. You see, a lot of times we don't want to do that. You see, you return to God, God return to you. A lot of times we get into our way of thinking, and we kind of fall off that, and we kind of fall off that, and we're not listening to God the way we should be listening to God, and we fall off, away from those sort of things. But I'm trying to tell you, you have to listen to God, and God will listen to you. You see, a lot of time we don't want to do that. We want to come in, God, I need help with my finances. Listen to God, and God will listen to you. I'm having so many problems all the time with my finances. Okay, listen to God, and God will listen to you. Now, why is this important? Because, see, if you, it's a root there. It's a reason why you having them problems. So if you ain't listening to God, you just keep praying for God to solve the problem, but you keep having the same problem. So excuse me, you keep having the same problem. So you got to wonder why I keep having the same problem all the time. And so you got to ask yourself, God, why is this continually happening? See, it's something going on wrong there. So you have to listen to God for God to listen to you. And like I said, it's a sad thing that goes on. We see these people who have these parasite spirits, and then you see them strifing with each other. I see this all the time in these churches and these places, and it's sad. You go to these churches or you go around these people that's in the church body, and you listen to them, and they complain, they whine, they complain so hard about this and complain about that, but they never do anything. You see, they complain that, oh, this is not the way this is supposed to be in the church. Well, didn't you talk to Jesus about it? Did you go see Jesus fix it? No, you don't. You act like He don't exist. You start putting man on pedestals like they're in the charge, and God don't exist. You don't go to Jesus with your concerns. You see, you don't go to Him about it, and then you sit there and then you complain, you get this bitterness, and then you got this hate to it. And then now I need to go somewhere else. I need to do something different. Well, that usually will come from people, and then people end up being there just bickering. I want to be here, I want to be there, and everybody's fighting and bickering. Sometimes you got people who don't want to do any things, and they the main one God is calling to do. They the main one they know God been calling to do some serious things, and they refuse to do them because they really don't want the responsibility. They don't want the fear. I haven't seen so many people afraid of the devil as much as I've seen. I've seen a lot of people who say they so Christians, they down with God. Ride or die. We are putting it. I go down with God, and you know what? When you start preaching these things about these spirits, I've seen these people so afraid and so scared. And I'm like, where is that? Where is that in Jesus' name? Why are you afraid? Don't preach those sort of things. Those things are scared of people. you know. So the people are not supposed to understand why is the reason why when you say why when you read the Bible, something when you're trying to read the Bible, something trying to fake you from reading the Bible. All of a sudden something pulling you to do something else, something pulling you to TV. All of a sudden, oh, I got a headache. All of a sudden this is happening. I'll see what causing people to keep turning like that. That's the Amalekites. So you got to ask yourself, why does stuff happen? Why is the people in the church with no confidence, with no belief in God? Why are these neighborhoods where it's the devil been doing these things, and they don't want to talk about it because they're afraid that they're going to make him upset. They're afraid. And I actually heard some people say this. They're afraid they're going to make him upset. And I said, what kind of believers are you people? Who cares if he's upset? We in the war. We supposed to make him upset. And if people that believe in God, if like I said before, they want to be comfortable. What kind of Christians are you? You want to be comfortable? Is everything I got to be comfortable? God, you think the disciple was comfortable when they was put into some of these situations that they was put into? You think it was comfortable when Paul and them in and out of prison all the time, getting beaten with 40 lashes plus? That's comfortability? What you think this is? You see, a little bit. They don't want no suffering. They don't want no suffering. They don't want no persecution. They want to be comfortable. I want to feel right in myself. It's ridiculous kind of behavior. Ridiculous kind of behavior. And see, they have this kind of mentality, and these people are in assemblies. They are in churches, and they are bringing that kind of foolishness when other people coming in that knew, that want God, that want it, and they're trying to hold them back. You see, we see a lot of churches like this. They won't stand for justice because they're afraid that they're going to pull their ticket. Oh, they may take my 501. They're gonna pull it out. They're gonna do this. They're gonna do that. They're gonna try to put sanctions here and there. They're gonna try to call not let me build this and build that. They may take this permit. They may call this to me. They may try to come again. See, a lot of them don't want to do that now. And when they have that kind of cowardice and fear, they bring on people come in who they're full of God and they want God and they ready to go to the lengths. They ready to be soldiers on the front line, and then they come into a place like this where these people are congregating pretenders. Pretenders. We talked last teaching. We talked about this in I think part 4 or 5. Part 4 it was. We was talking about how all how all these assemblies people was together, assembling around part 4 and of this teaching, and they was cutting off. They said they was pressing in. Pressing in I mean they was choking. They was cutting off. They was cutting this off from people. They wouldn't let people get to Jesus. They were trying to cut it off. And there's always people trying to get in the way, you see, because they're pretenders. You notice that all that crowd was out there, but none of them accessed the power of Jesus. None of them seen Jesus for who he was. None of them even getting healed. Nothing's happening. They just out there, Jesus, nothing's happening. Then all of a sudden that one woman who they said was unclean, the woman that they said was unclean, you know that she was unclean, and they said she was unclean. She wasn't supposed to be around. See, she's unclean. She's supposed to be around. The one that wasn't supposed to be around was the one that got to him and was able to be healed and was able to get clean. But all the ones who think they were clean because they wasn't bleeding out and had an issue physically, they all jumping around. And they all filthy and dirty. It say they was cutting off, choking. That's what the Amalekite does. They were spiritually blinded. They was in religion and tradition and think they was clean as can be. And they were trying to keep out the people who believe. And it's the same thing going on here. So let's get into this now. Let's get into some scriptures in this. Let's go to 2 Kings. Let's go to 2 Kings. 2 Kings chapter 25. Now, when I'm talking about the 2 Kings chapter 25, what we're talking about here is that we're talking about it was a woman that she was doing good charity for Elijah. She was doing what a believer is supposed to do. When you see a man of God that God is working, that's what she was doing. Seeing a man of God that God was working through. She seen he was prospering, you see. And so she seen that he was a man of God, you see. But so she started to do some good things for him. She started to set a room up that was really nice. She set a room up with a desk, nice little lamp and a bed and things like this. So she set this up for her husband. She told her husband to set this up for the man of God. And so she did this for him. So Elijah, wanted to do some good for her, which means God wanted to do something good for her. And so they was trying to figure out what can the woman, what does she want? What would the woman want? The woman say, well, I'm wealthy. So my family take care of me. I come from money. I'm good. So he asked his disciple Gehazi, what you think that we can give to her? And he said that she don't have no children because her whole husband is an old man. Her husband was an old man. Now, what you see, my husband was an old man. It says. Now, remember that old man part. So her husband was an old man. So they said, okay, well, that's why she ain't got no children because her husband is an old man. So, Elias called her in there and he says, you're going to have a baby. I'm going to be back in a year. I'm going to be back in a year. You're going to have a child. He said, I'm going to be back in a year and she's going to have a child. Now, you notice that when Elias said that he's going to be back in a year, she's going to have a child, it wasn't about the woman believing. When he told a woman that, that's what he said to her. I'll be back in a year and you're going to have a child. And you notice that it don't matter no difference she believed or even her husband believed. Her husband don't even know. He don't matter that he believed or not. Guess what? She had a child in a year. Because God said it's going to happen. So she had this child. Now I want you to see something here. Now after she had the child, of course, the child was it grew up and it was out in the field with his dad working, dad in the field. And the son was out in the field and he started saying, my head hurt, which sounded like a heat stroke when you look at it. He said, my head hurt, and he ended up dying. Now, when the son ended up dying, this is the mom she trying to find the man of God because the boy is dead. But now notice that she won't confess. The woman will not confess that the boy is dead. In the story, when you read it, you're going to find out the woman is not confessing that the boy is dead. So we're in chapter, Second Kings chapter 4, chapter 4, verse 25. So I'm getting to this part here. It say, so she set out and came to the man of God at Mount Carmel. When the man of God saw her coming, he said to Gehazi. Now notice Gehazi is his disciple. But Gehazi's name means lack of vision. Lack of vision. When you start to read about this story of Elijah, you're going to find out Gehazi, his name meant what he meant. Lack of vision. I mean, he couldn't see the path of God. That means he followed behind Elias, but he have no idea what he's doing. He have no faith. He's all about money, greed, and whatever he can get out of it. So let me show you something. It says, when the man of God saw her coming, now you notice that Elias saw her coming, he said to Gehazi, his servant, look, there's the Shunammite woman. Run at once to meet her and say to her, are you all right? Is your husband all right? Is your child all right? She answered, it is all right. So she told Gehazi, it's all right. And it said this, when she came to the man of God at the mountain, know that he's at a mountain or a hill, because you know God is the mountain. The hill, okay, it says she caught hold of his feet. Of his feet. She caught hold of his feet. Now when she caught hold of his feet, you see, people don't like that. You notice that it's always the feet. You know, Moses threw the commandments down at the foot of the mountain, the bottom of the mountain. It was all broke to pieces, meaning it was broken hearted, broke to pieces. And the only way people was going to get those commandments inside and out, they had to come to the feet of God. They go to the feet of that mountain with a broken heart. They had to confess with a broken heart. That's where they had to be at. You see, and so when people try to come to God at the foot of God, at the feet, you notice the lady came with Jesus. We did in the last teaching how she was trying to come to the feet of Jesus, washing his feet, and this with her sin. She put her sin at the bottom of his feet because all the enemies would go under his feet, and sin is an enemy. And so therefore she's putting it at the bottom of his feet, and she had a broken heart. She didn't even care if people was laughing at her, not just laughing at her, they was talking about how disgusted she was. They was embarrassed, embarrassed by him touching her. It embarrassed them, made them feel filthy. Now you notice that how people, when they was doing, they was trying to stop Jesus from doing this. They wanted to command him to stop. It's the same thing we see with any time a person doing this. They're trying to stop people from doing this. They're trying to fight people off. And these people are supposed to be men of God or disciples. They don't want people to get to this level, some of these people. Now let's see right here. Now you notice it said when she grabbed hold of his feet, Gehazi approached to push her away, just like the disciples were doing little children. And it said, but the man of God said, let her alone, for she is bitter distress, meaning brokenhearted. The Lord has hidden it from me and has not told me. Then she said, did I ask my Lord for a son? Did I not say, do not mislead me? Or I think in American King James it says, did she say not to get her hopes up, or different translations say different things with this, like not to get her hopes up, or not to deceive her, because what she's saying is that you told me you're gonna give me a son. I say don't deceive me, or whatever, because she didn't believe, and then she got a son. And so what she's trying to say is this, and I want you to understand this, and I'm gonna take the time to say this. The reason why she's saying this because what she's trying to get at is this. God, you promised me a child. So a lot of times we say our kids come from God, but then when they die, you hear these ministers say, oh, well, God give it and he take it, or, it's just what it is. He take the little kids. No. See, that's not true. See, God, if God gave you your children, then you know what? Like this lady said here, was she going to get her blessing? See, you notice that this lady here trying to get her blessing. I want you to see this. Because, see, this lady trying to get her blessing here. Because, see, her son has died. And God promised us this is a miracle child her. God gave her this child. And so this child should not be dead. Because how can God give her something and then take it away? This child is supposed to live out his days, and it's not. So you know what happened when she come to Elias? Here's the disciples, the same preachers I'm talking about right now. The same preachers that I'm talking about right here, right now. The ones who preach this foolishness about, oh, you know what, your child, well, listen, it happens. It happens to kids. The good die young. You know what? That was supposed to happen to those little kids. Oh, it's just how things happen. The Lord have a plan. No, no, that's a lie from hell. And you know why? Because you have these Gehazis here. They got no faith. See, they preach all this faith all day long, but when it's time to do it, when it's time to deliver this faith, they're cowards. They're cowards, and they just Gehazis. So when you come there and you distress, hey, my child is dead. Listen, I need him to be, you to come and do something. So they make up these excuses. They push you away. Listen, we know that's God will, whatever. Get away from here. But I want you to see this because this is what is really happening. It's happening in our day and age right now. How many kids they're burying out there? See, this is not supposed to be happening. But when people have no power of God because they have no faith, this is what happened. They preach it. You hear them, oh yeah, they preach it, and they preach it and they cover this on material things. But when it's time to have true power of God, when it's time to have faith, not faith that's moving back and forth. We talking about faith that's flowing like a river. When it's time to have faith to trust your God, they give excuses and they push the people away. This is kind of the disciple or prophet or preacher you want to follow. They can't give you nothing but excuses, lies, because he ain't really following God, but it sounds like he is. See, when people are looking at Gehazi, you would think, oh, it looks like he know what he's doing. Let's see what happened when you trust in these people like this, when you don't trust in God. Now, when she came to the man of God at the mountain, she caught hold of his feet. Now, Gehazi approached to push her away, but the man of God said, let her alone, for she is in bitter distress. The Lord had hidden it from me and has not told me. Then she said, did I ask my Lord for a son? Did I not say, do not mislead me? He said to Gehazi, now look, let me show you when you trust these kind of preachers. Now he said to Gehazi, gird up your loins and take my staff, meaning the word, in your hand and go. If you meet anyone, give no greeting, and if anyone greet you, do not answer. And lay my staff on the face of the child. Then the mother of the child said, as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave without you. See, she knew, I'm not going anywhere without you. I'm following you, not Gehazi. You see, this is the same man that just got you trying to push me away, and you sit there and told him not to. I'm broken heart. What are you doing? So why would I want to follow him? You see, no, I'm following you. So watch what it says. When she said that to him, as the Lord lives, she said, you yourself live, I will not leave without you. So he rose up and followed her. Gehazi went on ahead and laid the staff on the face of the child, but there was no sound or sign of life. He came back to meet him and told him, the child has not awakened, or some translations say the child is dead. Now, you know what? It's the same story as the disciples. And what did Jesus tell them when they couldn't heal the boy with the demon? You have no faith. So what they had to do, they had to bring the boy back to Jesus. The man said, I'm going to Jesus. And Jesus looked at them and told them, you have no faith. Because you have to plant it like a seed and let it grow. They have no faith. You see? So let's go into this. It said, when Elias came into the house, he saw the child lying dead on his bed. Now, Elias know the child is dead. Now, physically, that can be frightening for a person, right? Well, he's dead. But see, Elias know this. God promised this woman a child, and I know he's gonna do something about this. So he went into the closet door onto them and prayed to the Lord. Notice he went to them. He closed the doors. He shut the doors on their unbelief. He shut the doors on their unbelief. And you notice that he went in God. He went to God. See? And you got to understand, some people like to think God's judgment always is represent bad things. No, it's good things. So when a person comes to repentance and they come into judgment, now they can be healed. Now things can happen. So you notice that God he shut the door on him, and he went in there because you know what? God promised this woman, God's going to keep this. He shut the door on them because the boy is dead now, so it's a little unbelief to settle in. You know, the woman, she didn't say a couple things at first, but then getting back there, and then his prophet is saying that the boy is dead. You see, when they get there, the prophet come down. I mean, the Gehazi come down. The one have a lack of vision, no faith that we have full of in these churches. He come down, and so the woman see him, and the first thing he say is to her and Elias is, the boy's dead. It won't work. See, the word won't work. See, it's not working. The boy's still dead. And that make her feel like, oh no, see, that makes her feel even more distressed to the point he got to shut the door on both of them, leave them both outside now. See, see, that's what I'm saying. See, they lack of faith didn't hurt the people in the church lack of faith, and they give these, oh well, they just didn't get their miracle. This just didn't happen. All this foolishness, and they cause the people children to die for real and stay buried. And so this is what happened. Now it said, when Elias went in there and say, so when he went, he closed the door on the two of them and prayed to the Lord. Then he got up on the bed, laid up on the child, put his mouth on his mouth, eyes on his eyes, and hands upon his hands. And while he lay bent over him, the flesh of the child became warm. He got down, walked once to and fro in the room, then got up again and bent over him, and the child sneezed 7 times. And the child opened his eyes. Elias summoned Gehazi and said, and told him to call his mom and everything else. Now, I want you to understand something. When he called his mom, the woman in there, and said, he called the woman there and told the woman to take her son. It says she came and fell at his feet, bowed to the ground, and then she took her son and left. Now, I want you to see something here. Now, you see what happened here in this story, where her son should not have been dead. It should not have been dead. Her son should not have been dead in the first place. Now, I want people to understand something. God also do what you call, he give people counsel as well. See, people, it's not, see, I want you to understand, how you believe people know CPR? People know CPR because God gave them a knowledge of CPR. See, how do people know any of these things they know? Because God gives them these knowledges to learn these sort of things. How do even medicines? God even said that He used plants will be for medicine. He's showing you that He's showing people about these things, And what people forget, they get away from God in a lot of things here. That God showed people how to do a lot of different things, just in the counsel of what He does. Also, God actually just healed people. You see, God completely just healed people. The person could be dead 3 or 4 days. Ain't no CPR gonna work. Ain't no adrenaline shot gonna work. Ain't no, with the defibrillator or whatever they call it, thing is not gonna work. They can shock them 1,000 times, they're gonna burn them up. And God can take somebody like that and rise them up for the dead, being dead 4 days and stinking, and rotting and decomposing. And I want you to understand that stuff, that God has that kind of power. But see, what happens to people is people starting to see they're trusting too much in the world system of things. So all of a sudden, what happens? They are not trusting people. They're not trusting God. They're trusting people. See, when you know that God says that He gave you your child, then you know what? God gave me this child. And you know what? This child going to live. I don't know how God going to do it. I don't know if He's going to bring the boy back from the dead today. I don't know if He's going to wait till He buried and bring him back. But He's coming back. He's coming back now. See, that's what the promises of God is about. But see, you have these ministers who they want to preach covenants on these promises, but they don't want to preach when they get scared when something like this happens. When something like this happens, they're afraid. Oh my God. They say, well, listen, we prayed, we did what we can. If she died of cancer, hey, we prayed. No. See, that's the lack of faith these people have. You see, we don't really care. We doing it off tradition. This is the thing to do. I mean, we don't do it here. See, they doing it with the whole ideal that they don't believe is going to happen. It's a 50-50 stretch. You see, and then we'll go back to the times of things that we'll say some people, they don't believe, they don't get healed. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true to a degree. It's true to a degree. But you know what? It's times where Jesus went places and healed people. He healed everybody there. Whether if they believed or didn't, He healed everybody there. You see? He healed everybody there. So The thing you got to ask yourself is that when God say He's going to heal someone, He's going to heal someone. A lot of time we forget that. Jesus said to the disciples, "Go out, go place to place, heal the sick, lay hands on the sick, they shall recover." Now, did He say only on the people who believe? He didn't say that. He said, "Go out, lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover." See, that's His word. He didn't say, "Oh, think about it. Where are they going out? They're going out to places the people that ain't don't believe in Jesus." If they had people believing Him, why would He be going to them places? He wouldn't. So He told them this, and cast out demons. They should, and He told them all this. He gave them that kind of authority. You have the same authority. Now, of course, we'll be back on here later. We'll be back on here later tomorrow. But until then, this is Courtney Jones. We're running out of time. This is Courtney Jones. Blessing and peace be to you, and I'm out.